Welcome to the Happy Little Herbs podcast. I'm your host, Bethany Stahl. I'm a herbalist, aromatherapist, and best-selling author. I created this podcast to share all about Earth's amazing gifts with you. I love sharing with others and would love to help people discover the wonders of plants. My goal is to leave you feeling inspired for your personal life and for plants. I hope to share knowledgeable information so you feel confident when seeking herbal products or even concocting your own. If you are curious about plants, this podcast is for you. Welcome again to the Happy Little Herbs podcast. I'd love to take this episode to introduce you to myself, explain how I found myself on this herbal path, and let you know what to expect from every episode. My goal is to have each episode leave you with a takeaway, whether in terms of self-care or with a downloadable recipe. Every episode, you will have gained something at the end. But back to my introduction. My name is Bethany, and I love the earth. I grew up on the coast of Florida and spent nearly every day outside without shoes. The grass was always dry and sandy beneath my feet, and I often yelped at sand spurs poking at my feet. This led me to focus more on animal life than plant life, and I'd begun dedicating my entire heart to helping wildlife. Growing up, my family rehabilitated wildlife, so I was rarely without a squirrel tucked into my pocket, a bunny sleeping in my lap, or a bird chirping from a makeshift nest. In my childhood, I volunteered at my local SPCA, where I ended up working during college in the veterinary department and aiding with the medical side of shelter life, and still working with a wildlife rehabilitator. This meant in college, I was carrying around baby possums that needed fed throughout the day and meowing kittens. And oh boy, was that a moment. At university, I founded a pre-veterinary society. I interned with one of the most prominent zoos in America in their wildlife section of the zoo. I interned with a guide dogs nonprofit to work as part of their genetics and veterinary team, and I even volunteered on a manatee rescue team, which was some of the most fulfilling days of my life. I then became the president of the American Pre-Veterinary Medical Association that governs over the United States pre-veterinary societies. So all the societies have one big society that sort of helps everybody out. I then initiated a project with my pre-veterinary society to where we worked within our county to establish a Roots and Shoots program in high schools. This is an environmental program whose framework was established by Dr. Jane Goodall, who I had the honor of meeting at a lecture a few months prior, and she was the most inspiring woman I have ever met. And I began to lead these high school programs in propagating an endangered native species of flower. We then planted that at a beautiful preserve, and I actually received a certificate of appreciation from Jane. During college, I focused on biology, organic chemistry, biochemistry, and botany, which led me to a degree that I was excited to carry into my future as what I thought was going to be a wildlife veterinarian. However, it was while I was applying for veterinary school that I felt this disconnect in my heart. I was suffering with a chronic illness and had this internal knowing that there was a different path for me, one that I didn't even know existed yet. I trusted my intuition and denied veterinary school and began a self-employed path. I began a career as an author, so I have become a best-selling author and illustrator, with my most well-known series being the Save the Earth series, which is a children's book series that focuses on environmentalism and tells tales about adventures I've had in my real life. I still battled with chronic illness and began seeking treatment. Most medications weren't able to help battle the chronic pain I was experiencing, and turning to more and more medications kept leaving me feeling not myself in my mind. I was having horrible side effects, and I'm often prone to side effects. of medicines, and I was just not living a happy life. Eventually, I stopped using medicine altogether and truly decided just to suffer until I stumbled upon aromatherapy and started learning the amazing science behind concentrated oils. With an organic chemistry background, it fed my yearn for knowledge as I dove into studies and scientific articles about something that I feel like so many people overlook. So I began testing different blends to help combat my pain, and it did. As a believer of what I used to think was nonsense thanks to MLM companies, I started diving deeper into the science and learning how amazing plants are. And coming from a scientific background, I realized science had a foundation in plants, and we've since shifted, but that didn't take away the value of plants. So I then turned to learning about herbalism and wanted to learn more, all about plants, all about herbs, all about the flowers that I thought were weeds growing in my front yard that I've been overlooking most of my life. It was then that I learned of the power of herbs, and I haven't stopped learning since. My quality of life has greatly improved, and I would have never thought it was even possible to finally reach a point of happiness in myself and in my emotions, hence the name Happy Little Herbs. I've recently started Happy Little Herbs. This is a self care company dedicated to using local and natural products because I found myself making all of these self care items for myself. And I decided I need to share all of these with you. I have also been inspired to teach and share all of this knowledge with you. So I have started this podcast and launched the HLH Academy, where you can access content and lessons and courses to learn about herbalism and aromatherapy for yourself. I absolutely love teaching. I can't get away from it. It has something that I've truly loved since I was a child, and I feel like I learn by teaching as well. So I love sharing about these amazing plants. It's a huge desire I've had for years, and I'm so excited to finally bring them to life. I hope I can help you find your happy with this podcast, just like I've found mine. On the next episode, I will be sharing about fire cider, which is the first herbal remedy I had ever encountered. And it really was the start of learning about this herbal path. In next week's episode, you will learn about fire cider's history, and you will also get a recipe to try. If you want to sign up for my mailing list, you can sign up on hlhacademy.com and also check out my herbal goodies on happylittleherbs.com. The world is full of magic, and it's calling for you to see it. Thank you for joining me on this herbal adventure, and together we can find our happy.